our coach, McCarthy.
Yeah, Coach.
How you doing, Coach?
Doing great. Congratulations, AJ. That's incredible. I mean, you got to be excited.
Appreciate it, Coach.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, appreciate it. What's your background today, Coach? What is that?
Don't change the sound of it.
Roberto Clemente. I just wanted to, let everybody know when you come across the Roberto Clemente Bridge, what's right there in front of you, the great one.
Coach. Cy
there
Young,
you go. Nice.
Cy Young winner, Paul Skeens. Rest of the team, ass. Game's over. Why don't you tell the owner? He'll probably listen to you. Let's get some bats. Let's get some bats in the PNC Park barn. Let's get some bats in there. Coach, hasn't it been too long that they've sucked? You're old enough, Yinzer, that you experienced good days with the Pirates. My dad and older generation experienced good days with the Pirates. I'm 38. I have not experienced really a single. There was a playoff run there for a little bit with Kutch and them. I haven't really experienced a good Pirates time. They got the guy now at pitcher. Why don't they spend a little money, Coach? Why don't they spend a little money and make this thing happen?
No, I agree with you, as far as its time, because you had a great run in the 70s, you had a good run there in the 90s, and then, in the mid-teens, you're around 14. So I'm with you. It's time to let's get another run going. So just an unbelievable ballpark, though, to watch a baseball game. Just looking at the highlights here. So
how about
this PNC?
How about Seven Springs? You ever go up there? You ever go tubing up there? That's Nutting owned that thing. He sold it. Obviously, we thought he was going to spend that money on the Pirates, but he did not. He put it in his pockets. Seven Springs under better leadership now. We know that. We understand that.
Well, yeah, for my neighborhood, they made us go to Hidden Valley. We couldn't afford something.
Good tubing there as well.
Beautiful place. Yeah.
Hit with us.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about tonight. We have another division game here on Thursday night. Thursday night games used to be just division rivalries, and they would all get dressed up and everything like that. We're early in the year, another massive division game here. How excited should we be about these two teams playing? And just like last week, is the knowledge of the other team, does that weigh heavy in the outcome of every one of these fights?
Absolutely. I think, number one, the Thursday night game, all these division games has been awesome. And as we've talked last week, the division games are the best games of the year. I've always felt that, and I think just really what's going on in the league so far from a division perspective, I think with the Chargers being 3-0, and then when you look at the NFC West, how competitive their division is, clearly by win percentage, the most competitive division in football right now. You got one team at 3-0 and three teams at 2-1. And if you look at both Arizona and the it's going to be a hell of a battle down there in Arizona, because I know when, the first thing I always look at from the numbers perspective is, how are the teams trying to play, especially when you're going through September football. And then when you look at the numbers of both these teams, I think they both have done a really good job of staying on time. You look at the turnover ratio, you look at the ball distribution, which is, rushing attempts and completions, and you look at time of possession. So I think these guys have done a really good job of trying to play to a specific time clock, and it's been productive for them because they both have, their one losses both came against San Francisco in tough division, hard-nosed, low-scoring type football.
Both these teams 2-1 against the spread. Sam Darnold having great success with the Seattle Seahawks immediately upon getting there. We thought we'd never see him again. He had a good run with the Vikings. He took the bag from Seattle. They're in the middle of a rebuild. They lose DK. They lose everybody. That team's going to stink for a while. See you later, Sam Darnold. That's not the case at all.
No.
They are a great football team. McDonald's defense is a real deal. Sam's had time, and he's spinning it all over the place. Jackson Smith-Njigba is the leading receiver in the entire NFL. He's on pace to do stuff that nobody since Marvin Harrison has done with the amount of deep shots and explosive plays that he's converted already over the first few weeks. They're special, huh? Not a lot of conversation about them. Obviously, they beat the Steelers, so Steelers fans all have their attention. This morning, whenever we bring up the Seattle Seahawks versus Cardinals, every Steelers fan in the building goes, that's good football team. That's good football team up there because of what they did to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I don't think a lot of people really talk about the Seattle Seahawks like that, Coach. Other than, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, always loud stadium. Always they got a loud stadium, but they're in a train. They kicked Pete Carroll out. That's how we talk about them. That's how I think a lot of people talk about them. They're a damn good football team, Coach. I don't think anybody really expected that out of them this year.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, obviously with Sam there, but I see a different mindset in the way they're playing up front. I really like the way they're playing both offense and defensive line. And I think, obviously this battle tonight, that's where it will start, because they are definitely getting a big play production from their perimeter. So very good football team. beating Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, obviously an excellent road win, and this is going to be a tough road environment for them down in Arizona tonight.
That was a 10 a.m. start for them local time against Pittsburgh. I mean, that's the hardest of hard. That's a home opener for Aaron, right?
Yeah.
Home opener for Aaron, home opener for the Steelers, 10 a.m. local. All the juice is on the other side of the field. And the Seattle Seahawks did what they did to them. Congrats to them. I'm excited to see if they can continue to go tonight. Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, Coach, switching Sunday night, the Packers traveling to Jerry World, taking on the Cowboys. Obviously, Micah coming back after, it wasn't that long ago Micah was in that facility, and now he's coming back. What kind of game do you think Micah has, and what's that atmosphere really going to be like in that stadium?
Oh, I think it'll be a great atmosphere. I mean, it always is, and especially when you have a team that travels like Green Bay. So it'll be electric. It'll be a Sunday night football. But I think once that ball gets kicked off, it's going to be about going back to the trenches. So obviously they know Micah very well. He'll get plenty of attention. I say it all the time. He's the most disruptive defensive player that I've worked with, especially in a training camp environment and so forth. So they'll be double teaming him when he gets off the bus. But I think it'll be a hell of a football game. And just like I've said, I think week one, I'm a fan this year. I get to root for the Steelers openly and root for the Packers and the Cowboys. So I just think it's going to be a hell of a football game Sunday night.
NBC has sent all of their shows basically down there. They're making this a big spectacle, as they should. Packers, Cowboys, two legendary teams. And you talked about the trenches and the big boys and doubling Micah and everything like that. That Dallas defense is going to have to do a lot. They were on Darius Butler's everything DB, good D, bad D, and there was a quad box for the first time for bad D, and it was 4 different plays. Where 4 different plays. Guys were just wide ass open.
Oh, jeez.
Wide ass open. Not for like anything too extravagant either. It was the Chicago Bears.
Gosh.
Obviously, Caleb Williams with a revenge game against Eberflus's defense, and he does his thing. But that Cowboys defense did not look good at all. And with this Packers offense, they can get you. So obviously going to have to tighten those things up. But as a whole, whenever you talk about playing, go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, and that's coming off a week where they allow 450 passing yards to Russell Wilson. We saw what he looked like on Sunday Night Football against the Giants. But, Coach, as a whole, when it's the defense, I mean, offensively, you got potentially CD out. You're going to be missing one of your linemen. I think they're missing another lineman already, so they're going to be very banged up. But just as a whole, is there anything they can correct in a week from looking as bad as they did last week to maybe get into a point where this will be a more competitive game than a lot of people anticipate?
Definitely, and I think the quick turnaround helps because, I think like a lot of things. I think September football has components that you see each and every year, and I know being grateful to being coached before the CBAs and post CBAs, you have seen a change on how you're able to train your team and some of the things you experience in September that you didn't in the old days. So I think you definitely have some of that. And when I look at Dallas's defense, and obviously, having personal knowledge and relationship-wise to the men in that locker room, I just think you got to look at it. They're on their 3rd defense in 3 years. So, you go Dan Quinn, Mike Zimmer, and now, a new coordinator. So there is a difference, particularly in the coverage component as far as their base philosophy, how they're playing. So they definitely need to correct what they need to correct, especially the last 2 weeks. But, it's week 4. Clearly understand the magnitude of the Cowboys versus the Packers on both sides of it. But they just need to stick to what they're doing. It's an excellent coaching staff, really, really exceptional locker room. I would say that, from firsthand. And it's week 4. And I do believe that there's a lot of football left to be played.
Some of these stats are saying there ain't that much football left to be played. And I know the coach, your entire mission, especially if the team, and I don't know how many of those seasons you've ever been a part of, to be honest.
Legit.
Have you been a part of any 03 starts?
Oh yeah, I mean, I go back to AJ, our first year together. I mean, that was a hard year. So we were 1-4, and then we were 4-8, and then we won the last 4 in a row in 06, and really felt like it gave us a lot of momentum going into the off-season program, and then came back and was the youngest team in football both in 06 and 07, and played an NFC Championship game and lost in overtime to go to the Super Bowl. So yeah, I think we've all been there. It's and that's why I go back to it's week 4. It's a new coaching staff on the defensive side of it. I think you can see the carryover that Dallas has on offense, and and I think they'll continue to carry the water as the defense goes through this this transition. It happens. It happens every year. But you just got to stay. Them players they'll stick to it, and I think they'll come out of this.
Shoddy, first-time head coach. I assume he's younger than Eberflus. Not 100% sure. Is there a conversation that is had by a head coach there? Like, does Shoddy have to have an uncomfortable conversation with Eberflus about, like, hey,
Giving up 50 points a game.
Is that happen, or how does that kind of work as the head coach? Like, this is a first-time Shoddy maybe because what the offense is doing versus what's going on with the defense. It's like, how does the head coach have to handle that, and how do you think Shoddy might be handling that, or any new coaches in those maybe uncomfortable conversations that have to take place as a head coach that doesn't have to take place at any other position, or am I kind of blowing that out of proportion?
No, I mean, I can only tell you how it goes from personal experience, and obviously having a lot of history with Brian. I think it's a constant conversation. I mean, I don't think you just wait to talk to somebody when it's not very good. So I think evaluation is a 7-day, 24-hour thought process, and I'm sure that he's going about it that way. So, I know and learned it from his father. You get in there early Monday mornings, and the most important video is the video that you just got done playing, because it's a very natural, path where you want to just Monday, hey, let's get on to the next opponent. And I know players and coaches, you feel that way, but I've always adhered to the most important video of that week is the game we just played. So I'm sure they're going through it, and the corrections are being made, and they'll continue to grow from it.
If they saw the 4 clips that we saw, everything DB, good D, bad D, I think Shoddy's going to be, did we practice? Are we trying to? What is and obviously that's going to happen. It's week 4.
That's right.
It's week 4.
September football.
So it's law of football.
Yeah.
Law of football.
Figure it out. Chargers are 3-0, and then you have the Bills, Niners, and Bucks, who are all 2-0 in their divisions. When you have a great start to the season, it's one thing, but talk about when you have a great start in the division as well, being undefeated in the division to start the year.
Well, I think it's huge because I think, like anything, just got done saying there's a lot of football left to be played, and your season's not determined in September. But boy, when you can get those division victories in the bag, especially on the road, those are huge. And I've always felt that because, victories bring confidence. Road victories bring a little more confidence, and road victories and division victories bring even more confidence. And that's just something I've always believed in. I think as your team grows each and every year, you got to stack success, and that's all part of the momentum that you're building. And it's a long year, so getting that momentum rolling and keep building off it week by week it's awesome. So to have that in September, I mean, it definitely gives them a nice springboard going into October football.
Roberto Clemente had a good run. No signal back here. Did you see that? We lost the photo.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, did you?
Well, we didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Oh.
Bye, Roberto.
Oh well.
Pittsburgh Pirates ain't spending.
My first IT issue. All right, there you go. There you go.
Hey, open the tab. Open the. Go to the webs. Go to Safari, and then go to history. And you got, clear the cookies, Coach. Clear the cookies. The starting 3-0 in the division, though. That is such a great head start just to start your season. I mean, legitimately, what a relief I would assume that is as you get those out of the way. But whenever you see the schedule have that many division games that early, coming out of the blocks, we have to play our best football. Feels like the Chargers are doing that for all these teams. How hard, like the Colts, for instance, and the Chargers, all these teams that are playing great. How easy is that to sustain? How hard is that to sustain? Like, what are your thoughts on dealing with a team being great early? Like the Indianapolis Colts right now are playing the best football that they've maybe ever played, okay? The Colts as a whole. How do they sustain that for how long the season is? Obviously, we're crossing our fingers about injuries. That's going to happen in the NFL. But other than that, do they continue to get better in little things? Like, what is your thoughts on sustaining success, especially a hot start like this?
Yeah, that's where I go back to the evaluation process we spoke on earlier. You cannot change your Monday process, regardless of the outcome of the game. So long as you keep, evaluating the same, win or lose, keeping things realistic, because we've all been there. We've all been part of games where you play very well and you haven't won, and there's games where you didn't play very well and have won. So I just think staying in tune with the reality of where you are each and every week and continue to build off of that and grow, because there are more little things in September. I think it's only natural because you only have so many padded practice. The double team blocks aren't as tight. The pad level's a little high. The spacing we'll go into special teams. I don't know if we're going to talk about that today.
Absolutely. Next.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at the big plays on special teams. So, are the alignments right? It's the time clock of the snap and the hold intact, or the pads too high on field goal protection? Because those are the things that how much time are you putting to that? And I know as a head coach, I always looked at it as the challenge of scheduling and training your football team versus the other 31 coaches is so important, and always put a lot of time into that. How much time we're going to spend on each situation. If red zone offense and defense wasn't very good in 22, then I tell you 23 we were going to work on it more. But you only have so much time in this CBA era. So all those little things add up, because the little things always add up, and that's why I just think it's so important on how you got to find ways to win in September. It's critical. That's why I just have so much respect, and I think I don't know, the Chargers 3-0 in the division after 3 weeks. Has that been done before? That seems very unique to come out and play 3 division games and now they'll be sitting there at 3-0. So that's definitely there's a lot of positive juice in the building right now for sure.
I appreciate that. Roger Goodell went down a schedule maker or somebody and said, last couple of years, beginning of the season, you're shit. So
division games
make it better.
We need the best games early, actually. The teams have all told us they don't want that, though. That's good. We don't. You know how much Jeff Bezos, how much money he has?
Yeah.
We would like to understand. That is clearly a mission this year, it felt like. With the amount of division games early, and especially the primetime games, it's like they want their best games leading off the season, because there has been a lull at the beginning of these seasons, and I think that's potentially because of the CBA era that you are referring to, where there isn't much training, isn't much working, and then preseason, what does that become? But if they start putting these very important games at the beginning of the season, all of a sudden preseason becomes very important for these teams. So it might have been a good answer, even though coaches are going to have to dodge and kind of duck, dive, and dodge through this entire thing. Yeah, through the early rigors of a schedule. Now, on that note, you mentioned something that people have been taking advantage of this year more so than last year. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, Coach, a lot of game-winning kicks so far this year. I think we had 4 this past weekend. We also had a potential 2-score kick for the Bucs to go up. Instead, the Jets take it back for a touchdown. Rams, Josh Carty's got a chance at a game-winning kick. That gets blocked for a touchdown. Special teams seems to be a massive deal so far early on in the season. What do you think so far about field goal operations, things of that nature? And then how do you feel about some of these kickoffs? The Rams, Josh Carty, and the Panthers, Ryan Fitzgerald. I believe both those teams lead the league in opponents' starting field position. I think the Panthers right here, this is Ryan Fitzgerald, they lead the league. Their opponents start. In the drive start, their opponents start their drives on the 21. Vrabel said he watched 2 hours of this special team stuff this week to prepare for the Panthers. What do you think of all this, Big Mike, and how do you think it's going to affect the game?
Well, going back to the first part, I know historically, for me personally, the teams that I've coached, being in charge of a draft and develop program, always had a little more anxiety towards special teams, particularly early in the year, because being a young team, obviously your special teams are even younger. So that was always a bit of a challenge, and something that was a really focal point for me and a special teams coach as far as how we were trying to play coming out of training camp going into the season. So I do think you see some of that that can affect the opportunity for potentially more big plays. And I think clearly on the kickoff, I think the league's getting exactly what they want. I don't recall specifically what the numbers, but I think they were down to 20% returns and 80% kickoffs. And I know the goal was to get it up to, I think it was between 70 and 80% returns and, 20 to 30%, touchbacks. And I'm not sure where those numbers are now.
Way up.
I think
way up.
Well, I know they're way up. But
but they're celebrating that, though. The NFL is celebrating that, because that's a big change. The whole kickoff thing was a huge change, and they're saving it, they said, Coach. Everyone to save the kickoff is what they were saying.
Definitely, and I love the play also, because I think it gives you a chance also when you get into roster development to make sure you're giving the Turpins of the world opportunities to affect the game and things like that, because there's definitely a place for those type of players. So I think it's great that the kickoff is back in the game.
2006 Bears started 3-0 in the division. You should remember that.
They made the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
my first game as a head coach. Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't mean to do
Home
that.
opener. Yeah, bad memory, right?
Sorry.
It was a hard day, AJ.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
one.
Oh,
Tough
I'm
one,
sorry.
yeah.
Let's talk about that kick.
Oh, we made up for it later, though. We came out of
You put a trophy in the building. Okay, that's I heard the Steelers. I think it was Joey Porter. Yeah, I think Joey Porter spoke at training camp, and he said that his group basically we added a trophy to the building. We feel like we did our job. That's like a good way to kind of to view it all. Back to the kickoff thing. They're hitting a squib. Okay, these two guys are hitting squibs, good squibs. They're calling it dirty ball, a knuckle ball. This is a squib. This is what a squib used to be. And I don't know if I love the kicker hitting the squib. I think the punters should be working on hitting squibs. Just the thought of a kicker having to hit a ball fat, I don't like. I just personally
Messes with their field goal kick.
I don't like it. Yeah, just them seeing the ball come out shitty like that when they're taking their field goal steps, I don't personally love. But these dudes that hit good squibs, I think it's a real weapon right now.
It is.
It is a real weapon, Coach. And I assume there's going to be more people that are going to try to do it. But remember, if you hit this thing and it lands too short, if it lands in front of the 20 there, that ball's all the way out to the 40, which is like basically 70% or 60% scoring percentage or something like that. Whenever it's inside the 20, it's like 15% or 12% or something like that. So it's a huge deal if you're able to hit one of these good balls. And the fact that Vrabel's paying attention to it, I obviously massively respect. But I think special teams' importance is very real this season, more so than ever. And the kickoff's a big reason because of it.
Yeah, definitely. I've been very blessed to have two exceptional kickers in my career, both starting in Green Bay with Mason Crosby and then down there in Dallas with Brandon Aubrey. And it's a great place to be, as a head coach, because it definitely makes you approach certain situations differently. I mean, Mason used to have an unbelievable spike onside kick that, I would try to, space it out almost every 4 or 5 weeks or 6 weeks. We were always looking for the opportunity to utilize that. And then he also had a couple different sky kicks at, different spots on the field. So always looked at him as a tremendous weapon, especially playing outdoors in Green Bay, especially in the winter. So it is a nice part that has been added back to the game. So I'm definitely excited to see the kickoff back. And then, Brandon Aubrey, I mean, what can you say about him? I mean, he used to go into games and talk about the game-winning field goal spot would be 33, 35, 36-yard line. Now you just got to get it closer to 50. So that's a nice weapon to have. So I'm very, very blessed with those two guys.
That's a really comfortable spot to be. He said he hit a 60-yarder in warm-ups, and it was close. He had to hit a 66-yarder, and he just told his body, hey, we need a 66-yarder here. Yeah. That's a good thing to be able to do if you're a kicker in the NFL. Yeah, I have no idea how far I can hit it, but I know I need it to go 66, so just kind of, all right, just figure it out. And he does.
He did.
And you stand behind him, man, that ball is like a rocket coming off his foot. It's, just over the years, that's where I would always stand doing the special teams behind the punter or behind the kicker. And when we brought him into training camp that year after he was done playing at USFL, it was obvious on the first 5 kicks that this young man was different. The ball just exploded off his foot.
Smooth swing, too. Never really trying hard. Just like a super smooth swing. Perfect form every time. And he said that none of his balls are the same, and he's never back at the same spot because he doesn't want to become a robot, he said. He just wants to kind of keep it all kind of fluid, which is the complete opposite of what every other kicker basically says, which is why I love him.
Oh, yeah.
I love him even more. It's like this dude is an anomaly. The kickoffs, though, Aubrey's a talented ball striker, talented enough ball striker to figure it out. All these guys are. But I don't like kickers taking their field goal steps and then the ball.
Yeah.
I in my head, I'm just too mentally weak. I wouldn't want that. Cardi potentially on that last one too. I know it gets blocked.
Yeah.
That thing's poor. Because to hit that squib, you got to hit that fat, Coach. You understand? You know what I'm talking. You got to hit that ball fat. You got to hit the middle of that thing. You do not want to do that on a field goal. I mean, that is like, and they were talking about the differences like this much. So like that much of a difference between Matt Prater the other night and then hitting that thing perfect in the straight. It's like, I don't want to dance with it. But good luck to all the ball strikers. And I appreciate the fact that these kickers are getting better. The surprise onside kick out of the game, Coach, I feel like we're all to blame for that. And you talked about Crosby. He was so good at that. Just casually running up and spiking that thing off of the ground. He was a weapon. Janikowski, maybe the best of all time, especially whenever he was out at Oakland on that baseball. Hit the weed clouds that are hovering above that Coliseum out there. It was outrageous. Yeah, good time. Special teams back. Hey,
oh yeah,
special teams are back. They were talking about that leaving the game, Coach. I'm happy that's not the case.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame nominee AJ Hawk has a question for you.
Coach, I don't know if you saw last week, we see Andy Reid kind of give Travis Kelce, I think, a nice little shoulder on the sidelines. I thought it was a positive interaction. I think it shows both these guys care about their job and they want to get the job done. They want to win. Did you, over all the time you've had in the NFL, not you personally, I haven't seen any footage of you getting in a fight with anyone, but have you witnessed any great interactions on the sideline like this, or like something much better, maybe back in the early 90s when coaches and players sometimes legit would fight?
Oh my God! I mean, '90s was a whole different era. I mean, without a doubt. But yeah, I'm just watching Andy's interaction here for the first time. It's awesome. But I think it's
that's your first time seeing that. Yeah. That's your first time seeing that.
Yeah, it's awesome. But no, I think that stuff's really wholesome. But also, what I like about it, I think it says a lot about the relationship. Because being from Pittsburgh, as you know, punching on guys is a sign of love. I mean, I think that's an expression from our generation, and I think that's really cool. I think it tells about the relationship. Obviously, whatever needs to be said or whatever was happening at that time, obviously that they were addressing something. But what happens on the sidelines definitely needs to stay on the sidelines, and especially being a part of NFL where they had the mics in your face and so forth. I think people are more conscientious of it now, because it's hard not to notice a boom mic coming flying down over your head and things like that. Where obviously the 90s was a lot different. And I know when I first became a head coach, my mother used to tell me all the time that my language is terrible, and I says, well, because you can't talk like that when they have the camera on you. I said, I have no idea when they have the camera on. She goes, well, you need to clean up your language. So, but it's a different era now.